Welcome everyone to our Friday edition of Packers News Live Chat alongside Tom Silverstein. I am Olivia Reiner. The Packers had their final practice before they head out tomorrow for Sunday's game against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll bring you the latest injury updates as well as a contract extension discussion in just a moment. However, before we get into that, as always, you can be a part of our conversation. If you're over on Facebook, leave us a question in the comments. Tom and I will address some of those toward the end of our discussion today. Head coach Matt LaFleur officially said that right tackle Billy Turner is doubtful for Sunday's game against the Minnesota Vikings. Turner has been dealing with a right knee injury for the past 2 weeks starting in training camp. Now it's looking unlikely that he might play on Sunday. However, luckily for the Packers, they do have some options to back him up, including backup right tackle Rick Wagner. What about some of the guards, Tom? Both Elton Jenkins and Lane Taylor have some experience playing at tackle. Tom, who is likely to start for Turner if he's unable to go on Sunday?
I would guess they'd go with Jenkins because Taylor has played so well at right guard, and Jenkins is the most athletic guy they have on the line. I think he's more of a natural fit at tackle. If Wagner could play, I got to think they would try to play him. But I just don't know about that elbow injury. I just don't know if they feel like he's strong enough at this point. So, if I had to guess, it would be Jenkins.
Jenkins a possibility to start at right tackle. However, if Jenkins doesn't start at right tackle, he'd be starting at left guard. If he does start at right tackle, who's going to start at left guard? The Packers' backups at left guard are either Lucas Patrick or John Runyan. Runyan is a rookie. Patrick has some experience sliding in relief both at center and at guard. Tom, who is the likely starting left guard if Jenkins starts at right tackle?
Patrick. He's just got so much more experience. He's played in games, big games, and this is a big game. Runyan hasn't played a down of football since he left college. So, yeah, it would be Patrick.
So something to keep an eye on heading forward going into Sunday's game against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's take a look at the rest of the injury report for the Packers. Not so surprising, outside linebacker Randy Ramsey is out with a groin injury. Not a big concern for the Packers there, considering they have their top three outside linebackers in Za'Darius Preston. Not Rashawn Gary isn't a Smith as well, although I think Za'Darius and Preston think he should be. Not a big surprise there for Ramsey. Defensive lineman Montravius Adams is doubtful with a right toe injury. Safety Raven Green is questionable with a quad injury. Oren Burks, who had been limited a little bit in practice earlier this week, does not have an injury designation, so he should be good to go. Tom, especially with Raven Green and Oren Burks practicing, looking good for this Sunday's game, how important is it for Mike Pettin to have those two available to help shore up the middle of the defense?
Well, I'm interested to see how he lines up in the base defense. We know Christian Kirksey will be one of the inside linebackers. Will Oren Burks be the other? He's healthy. I got to think he is. I'm not sure what other option they have. Ty Summers, I suppose, is an option, but I don't know if they feel confident there. I think he could also go with Will Redmond, or if he feels like Raven Green can play, I don't know. He just has had a couple of days practice since coming back, and I don't know if he's ready to play. So he could go with Kirksey and Redmond there, that would be a nickel defense. But I think Oren Burks has to play. I think he's got to be ready to play in this game because the Vikings are going to run the ball, and you can't play nickel defense against them every down.
Oren Burks has yet to show the Packers that he can stay healthy enough for an entire season and contribute to their defense. We'll see if he is able to play on Sunday and stay healthy throughout the 2020 season. Let's move over to some contract updates. We've been getting a lot of questions from some of our lovely viewers about how likely it is that Aaron Jones will continue to stay with the Packers following 2021 when he becomes a free agent. Earlier this week, he told the NFL Network that his agent and the Packers had been in some discussions regarding his extension. However, today he said he has no clue exactly where those discussions stand. He is planning on playing on Sunday's game against the Minnesota Vikings, regardless of whether or not he has an extension done. There are so many players, Tom, that also are going to be 2021 free agents, including tackle David Bakhtiari, center Corey Linsley, and cornerback Kevin King. How big of a priority is it for the Packers to bring back Aaron Jones after this season?
It seems like it is a priority. I don't think Aaron Jones would have said what he said on NFL Network if his agent hadn't told him they were making progress. So, a lot of times these deals get done on the weekend before the first game. That way, all the cap calculations can go into effect before the season starts. So I wouldn't be surprised if something leaks out on Saturday night that they've signed him, or Saturday. But if not, that doesn't mean it's over. It just means it might take a little bit more time for it to get done. It sounds to me like they're on the right track. Now, Bakhtiari made it sound like there's nothing going on, that there's nothing to report. And I'm not surprised at that, because I think his number is really high based on Laramie Tunsil's big monster $22 million a year deal. If I'm Bakhtiari, I'm holding out for that. And I have a feeling he probably is.
A lot of money in question going forward for the Packers. $175 million is next year's cap. It's significantly lower than what was expected. It's all because of COVID-19, the way that the league's revenue is going to be impacted by the pandemic. Will they be able to keep Aaron Jones and David Bakhtiari and Kevin King? It's going to be difficult. However, it's a challenge that the Packers are addressing right now. Let's move over to some of your questions on Facebook. Let's start with Corinne. Corinne asks, will the lack of crowd at US Bank Stadium help or hurt the Packers? It's a good question. There are no fans going to be present inside of the stadium this weekend. There won't be any fans here at Lambeau Field for the first two games of the regular season at the very least. Tom, how is that going to impact both the Packers and the Vikings?
It has to help the away team. Any place where there's no fans, it helps the away team. They're just going to be able to function so much easier. I mean, the sidelines are easier to deal with when they're calling out personnel. You shouldn't have any problems with that. There's, the snap counts, shouldn't have any problem with that. I just think, you saw in Kansas City on Thursday night, even with, I think it was 17,000 people, it was still pretty loud. But this is going to be a noise level that's constant. And so I don't think it's of course not going to be anything like US Bank Stadium would be normally. So that's an advantage to the Packers.
Nothing can replace fan noise in any of these stadiums. However, the canned crowd noise is quite annoying. And as I told Jim Ozarski on our live stream yesterday, Tom, I'm highly considering bringing earplugs for the experience inside the press box at US Bank Stadium.
I'm telling you, this is going to be the most enjoyable game I've ever covered in Minnesota, because I've been through the Metrodome and my ears are always ringing. I mean, US Bank is really loud, really, really loud. And so it'll be kind of pleasant to not have that ringing in my ears.
It will, but as I said, I think it's still going to be pretty loud. It's an open air press box, which is unique from a lot of the stadiums in the NFL, at least the ones that I've been in.
Yeah.
It'll still be loud.
I wonder if they're going to blow the horn, the big, they usually have someone pregame who blows the big, so I don't know if they're going to do that or not. It's pretty much tradition.
I'd like to know, because I would like to mentally prepare myself, because I think regardless, I don't want to jump out of my seat for no reason, So we'll see exactly if they decide to use that horn pre-game. Hopefully not. Let's move over to Eric. Eric asks, what's one thing opposing offenses and defenses will have to prepare for when facing the Packers? They have to prepare for absolutely everything. This is a tricky question just because of its broad scope, Tom, but what is the Packers' hallmark on both offense and defense this season?
Well, on offense, you always say you want to stop Aaron Rodgers or you want to protect, but I think Aaron Jones has become more of a focal point in that you just don't want him to control the game on the ground. Rodgers, of course, you always have to be, cognizant, and you got to play him, but you just don't want Aaron Jones to take over the game. So I would say that, and then on defense, I would say stopping the Packers pass rush. You got to be able to block Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith and Kenny Clark. So that is primary when you're playing the Packers defense.
Pass rush has become a big part of the Packers defense, and similarly, Aaron Jones, 16 rushing touchdowns last season, league high. He's a huge part of their offense as well. Let's move over to Marcel. Marcel is on vacation. I know you live in Germany, Marcel, so hopefully your vacation is going well too. Marcel asks, will Packers fans see more than 60-40 run to pass or less? What will the ratio look like on the ground versus through the air for the Packers?
I would guess it would be, if I had to guess, I think it might be 60-40 pass. I think they're going to have to pass the ball at some point. I think Minnesota is going to gang up on the run and, hope to get the Packers in long down and distance and use that defense to blitz and pressure Aaron Rodgers. It kind of depends on how the defense does with the offense. If they fall behind, then they got to throw. I would think, if I had to guess right now, I would say it would be about 55-45 pass.
Very specific numbers there. However, Packers are going to want to make Aaron Jones run the ball as much as possible. It's just a matter of will they be able to, will the Vikings be able to pick up on that early in this game on Sunday. Let's move over to Brent. Brent asks, how is the new defensive tackle, Daylon Mack? I hear he's good at stopping the run, with both an exclamation point and a question mark. So maybe maybe he's wondering if we've heard if he's good at stopping the run. Mack has been signed to the practice squad. He was not signed to the active roster. So unless the Packers decide to call him up, which is certainly possible,
definitely a possibility.
They have an open spot on the 53-man roster, and if Montravius Adams is unable to play, they may need another defensive lineman. Spoon, what do we know about Daylon Mack?
Well, I mean, he's a guy that's kind of bounced around the league. He's a big run-stuffing nose tackle. It'll kind of depend on, I think they brought him in with the idea of, let's see where he's at. Let's see if he's in shape. Let's see if he can function in this defense. And if he can, then, and Montravius Adams can't play, which it appears like he can't, then they may need another defensive lineman, and they may just call him up. They could also call up Willington Prevlion, too. I mean, I don't know. They get to call up 2 practice squad guys who then go back to the practice squad after the game, and they can activate them for the game. So we'll have to see who that's going to be. It could be one of those defensive linemen. It could be John Lovett. It could be, an outside linebacker. I don't know.
That's right, Tom. Mack does not have to be signed to the 53 in order to play on Sunday. As you said, the Packers are allowed to call up 2 practice squad players to be present on the active roster come Sunday. So something to keep an eye on. Tom, how surprised are you that General Manager Brian Gutekunst is rolling with 52, at least at the moment right now, and not filling that 53rd spot?
I don't think it's a big deal. I think what he's doing is saving him some cap room. He's not committing to who his 53rd person is. Because if he puts him on the 53 now, and then decides, I got somebody else I want to put on there, what good is that? So I think he's just waiting till the last minute to do it. And then if they decide, hey, we're healthy enough to go with 52, then that's a little bit of savings that they can have for week 1. Cap savings.
Yes, it is. So we'll see if Brian Gutekunst decides to fill that spot, if he continues to keep it the way it is, or save a little bit of money, not sign another player. Let's move over to another question over on Facebook that I've already lost. Here we go. Craig asserted that Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams are going to connect for 3 touchdowns on Sunday. Someone in our live stream yesterday asked me and Jim Ozarski if Aaron Rodgers was going to score more or less than 3 touchdowns, if he was going to throw more or less than 3 touchdowns. Tom, where are you? How many passing touchdowns do you think the Packers will score on Sunday?
Well, if I knew that, I'd be in Vegas right now or calling my bookie. I have no idea. Absolutely none. But I will tell you this, that I think Rodgers and Adams will connect 9 times. I'll predict that that's the case. I don't know if it'll be for 150 yards or it might be 83 yards. I just think he's going to try to take what he can get with Davante Adams, and the Vikings are going to try to take Davante Adams out of the game. So I look for him to connect early and often with Adams.
Rodgers and Adams have a strong connection and had that strong connection throughout training camp. We'll see exactly how he gets involved in the passing game on Sunday. And even Michael reminds us Aaron Jones can get involved in the passing game too. Aaron
Absolutely.
Jones was more or less the second wide receiver on the team, especially to start out the season last year. How likely is it that Aaron Jones is able to get a couple passes thrown his way too?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be probably their second leading receiver this year. I have no doubt, as long as he stays healthy, that he will rank number 2 in catches. I think he's going to be a big part of the offense. And there's going to be days when they can't get yardage on the ground, so they're going to use Aaron Jones in another way. You got to ride him. You have to use him every possible way because he's really dynamic and he's a threat to go the distance, anytime he's got the ball in his hands.
He is the key part of that Packers offense. He's what makes it go. We'll see if the Packers deem him worthy of a contract extension, even if they're able to. That'll be the big question. Todd asks, what about defensive lineman Kingsley Keke? Keke was a rookie last season, didn't get to contribute all that much. However, with Montravius Adams possibly out this Sunday, he could have an increased role. What can Keke bring to this Packers defensive line? That's
funny you ask. That's a great question. I think he's going to be a key player this year. I think he's going to be a key player in their run defense. He's enormously strong. He's really stout. He just strengthened himself during the off season. And, I was just watching the San Francisco game and just to kind of refresh how that run defense went. And when they put him in the game at the end, he was the one guy who was not getting pushed around. He was holding ground and getting some penetration. And I really think he's a sleeper. I think he's going to have a huge role this year.
Big words there.
Yeah,
Tom
I do.
Silverstein.
I think that he's a guy. Keep your eye on him.
All right, there you have it there from Tom. Put your money on Kingsley Keke if that's an option for you. Wherever you are, where legal gambling is legal, you can go put your money on Kingsley Keke. That is going to do it for us today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back for the Packers game against the Minnesota Vikings. We will be out there in Minneapolis bringing you all of the latest news. So if we did not get to your question today, or you have even more questions, then make sure you come back before and after the game. I'll be live pre-game with Pete Doherty and post-game with Ryan Wood. Also, if you're a subscriber over on PackersNews.com, Tom, we have a special live stream for you.
I do. If you are a subscriber, you will be able to see me and Leroy Butler live after the game. We're going to break down the game. He's so good at analyzing plays, and we decided, what the heck, we don't get very many players to talk to, so let's go to an expert after the game. So I would say about 6 o'clock, maybe something like that. We'll put something out, and he will be live with me, and we'll talk about the game. He'll follow your excellent session on Facebook, so look for both of us.
Yes, Ryan and I will be live at some point following the game. Make sure you're following me and Packers News on social media for the update. I'll let you know when we're live after the game, and then immediately after, Tom and Leroy will be live over on jsonline.com, packersnews.com, wherever you get your Packers coverage. Head over there. Also, if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. We'll have lots of stories coming out of this weekend for you. Follow us on all of our social platforms as well for more updates.